wrong? Vanessa Tatis. Today, this afternoon, I would really like to tell you some African stories. But I think I need to register to the House that most African stories are told around campfire. That is to allow the story to be told longer than 20 minutes and 10 seconds. So I think it's going to be a challenge for me to tell a story in those minutes. So I think, Master Chair, I think bear with me. That's why we said in Africa, God gave a white man a watch and gave black man time. Simply, we can talk forever. My story is about the story that I really want to share with you. If you go to Africa today, or what we had this week, most African stories that have been told these days, they talk about famine, HIV and AIDS, war, poverty, or crime. But what I would like to share with you this afternoon, I just want to turn that picture a little bit around. A success story, a good story from Africa. It is about a country. It's about a country in the southwest corner of Africa. It's called Namibia. Most of you that has been following the story of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt will know where Namibia is. These two couples, they really loved Namibia. You know that they went to Namibia to have a baby. So they love Namibia for its beautiful dunes that are taller than the Empire State Building in the United States of America. I'm actually from an area in the northwest part of Namibia called Kunene region. In the center of Kunene is the village where I was born, Sesfontein. Namibia is a beautiful country with dunes, as I said, taller than Empire State buildings. But some time ago, wind and time have changed our landscape into a very strange shapes. And these strange shapes are full of wildlife that has become so adapted to this harsh land. Namibia is a country with 2.1 million people, and it is twice the size of California. We have got a huge wide open space. It can fit you all. It can fit the whole Mexican in this country. I'm actually a Himba. This is my tribe, the tribe that you see there. Himba, we live a very normal lifestyles. I grew up myself looking after livestock, goat, sheep, and cattle. I think to have a conference like this, I think take into account that you are inviting Himbas and we eat meat. It's good that we've been provided with meat this few days. And one day my father actually took me into the bush. He said, John, I would really like you to become a good herder, somebody that would look after our livestock. And I would also like you to know the world. And he said, John, if you see a cheetah in the field eating our goat, just walk slowly up to it and smack it at the backside. And it will let go the goats and bugger off. And then he said, if you see a lion, don't run. If you do, he will chase you and kill you. Please be reminded, if you are in Africa, don't run if you see a lion. Stay it in the eye and it may not want to find you. And then he said, if you ever come across a leopard, you better run like hell, boy. Just imagine you are running faster than those goats you are looking after. And I think through this, I actually started developing love for nature. As a local Himba boy, it's very good to know, if you are in the field, what to confront and what to run from. I was born in 1971. I look big, but I think I'm still young. Born in 1971, it was during the colonial regime from South Africa. The white South African very oppressed Namibian we were not regarded as responsible enough. They could use wildlife, they could hunt, they could do whatever they wanted to do with wildlife, but whenever our people wanted to prevent or save their livestock from predators, they were called poachers. And at the time, they were locked up and put in jail. Not too long, I think it was during the times when the US and Soviet interests fought for control over our country. And there were war going on in Namibia. The armies, they hunted for our valuable rhino horns and ivories, and they could sell these things anywhere in the foreign market for $5,000 kilos. You know, British rifles was all over the place, and everybody in the country had actually a mean to kill. Rifles was all over. Even our own people, the Himba, they had rifles too. And then that actually contributed to the extinction of wildlife in the area. In 1981, we had a very big drought that almost killed everything that was left. Our livestock was almost finished. I remember a night when a hungry lion went into the house of our neighbor and took a sleeping child out of the bed and killed it. It's a very sad story. Everybody today, we know the exact position where it all happened, and we killed the lion. Although that the lion was just doing the normal work, they was looking for food. To a hungry lion, a human being, doesn't actually matter. I mean, this is a piece of meat. Toward the end of 1981, we almost had nothing. And my father said, "John, what are you going to do? You were useful when you were looking after our goats. I think you better go to school and keep you busy there." The same year I went to school, my father got a job with non-governmental organizations in the country. The people of this NGO, they actually spent many years in the communities. They were trusted by our local leaders, and they actually proposed to our leaders that, what if we give you funding and you look for people that you trust to look after wildlife? Do you have anybody in your community that can really, this is now outside national park, it's now outside protected area. Do you have people that you trust that you can really put in charge? And they said, yes. Our poachers. Poachers? Yeah. And the very first person that was appointed as a community game guard was my father. I'm actually not campaigning for my father, but it just happened by default. And then, instead of shooting poachers like they were doing elsewhere in Africa, in Namibia, we have helped headmen to reclaim their abilities to manage people and their right to manage and use wildlife. And as people started to see that wildlife is not something that belongs to government, it's actually our resources, they actually started taking ownership, and they started protecting what was around them. And I think this formed the foundation for our independence. Our independence just happened at the right time when people were moving from colonial regimes to independence. Few things that actually helped us to build this foundation is that we Himba, in every Himba village, there is a sacred fire. I don't know how many of you have been to Africa. Sacred fire is like our church. At this fire, the spirit of our ancestors speak through to our leaders, hetmen, and tell us where to graze, where to get water, where to go if we really want to utilize game. And through this is the way how the Himba communities are regulating the impacts on the environment. Himbas, we are also open to new ideas. We also want to go to the moon, but still we want to maintain our tradition. We also learned how to use sophisticated system like moving animal from one side to another by using tranquilizing darts, which is much easier than speaking through a spirit of a dead person. One person may argue that way. But we actually wanted to learn new things. We were open to new things, new opportunities. But still, we maintain our culture. It's very good to maintain what you have and also take on from other people. The other thing is that we actually wanted to be a community that are united, that have a dream, that want to live a better life. Because we know that killing poachers, killing people that were using wildlife was not part of their dreams. Most poachers were people from our communities. Once they were caught, they were brought back and treated with respect. The best one was selected to look after resources and actually spread the message that there will be a future. Similar to the past, there will be a lot of wildlife to eat meat. There will be a lot of wildlife for people like from Mexico to come and see. And then through that, they can pay money that will benefit the communities. And I think that's actually helped the community to actually once again have the trust and take wildlife conservation seriously. The other third element that actually helped us was the partnerships. We thought we are not an isolated village hiding somewhere in Africa. We are part of the global communities. We need a lot of people to come and visit our country. We need the support of many people. We need funding. And the World Wildlife Fund has actually put money for 2 decades to fund the projects, actually also to train some of us to be a platform like this to share with other people what we have done in the country. Our government, most importantly, have passed a law that allows communities outside national parks to benefit from natural resources. This is a very good piece of legislation. And I think, as you can see, that in all cases, partnerships bring unique skills to the tables. Partners are motivated by something larger than individual well-beings. So that's why we were actually so successful in doing what we have done so far. In 1995, 30 years after the initial program started, the entire Northwest, there were only 20 lions. Today, there are over 130 lions in Kunene. In 1982, the black rhino populations, they were nearly extinct. Today, Kunene have the largest free-roaming black rhino concentration outside national park in the world. And the lioness I was talking about, that was giving us troubles. We cannot go and see our girlfriends because the lions were around. They are now in big numbers because their prey animals has multiplied from hundreds to tens of thousands. And what actually started as a very small community-based project with game guards here and there has grown into something that we call community-based conservancies. Community-based conservancy are self-defined institutions legalized by governments to allow community outside national park to conserve and benefit from wildlife. Today, Namibia has got over 60 registered conservancies that cover and manage an area over 13 million of hectares across the whole country. As you can see from the map, the whole country, those greens are the number of conservancies, community-based initiative in Namibia. In 2008, the program have generated direct income to the communities. Over 6 million went back to the communities. With this money, communities are able to use this money for education, use it for HIV and AIDS awareness, infrastructure developments, and many other things. And to me, I think we have reshaped the value of the entire country. Nowhere else in Africa has community adopted conservation at this scale. And to me, this is the good news that we must start telling about Africa. And the soccer, the world soccer in South Africa as well. Isn't it a good news? Now, colleagues, friends, comrades, I would really like this audience to help take some of the things that we have learned in Namibia to further afield, to countries with similar problems, where communities living next to national parks are a constant threat to wildlife in national parks. We have done a very simple approach, that is to get people involved. People must have sense of ownership of the resources. They must see the value for conservation. Otherwise, why should I waste time to conserve a rhino that doesn't mean anything to me? It's good. Internationally, it's an extinct species, but so what? If it doesn't bring anything to me, why should I bother to conserve it? So we know that conservation, wherever it is, it can be in America, it can be in Mexico, where you have got all this sophisticated system to monitor this and that. It will fail if it doesn't work to address the plight of those communities. Ladies and gentlemen, I think with this, I would really like to say that we need to be taken further. If this platform can actually help me spread the message, and also at the same time, I would also like to invite you all. Namibia is a beautiful country. Come and visit Namibia. It can accommodate you all. Open landscapes. You can be in an area for miles without seeing anyone. You can be in area, I was just telling somebody that you can travel for kilometers without even seeing a person. All you see is wildlife, lions, elephants, and all these type of things. So, with those few words, I would like to thank this, the organizer, the convener, for inviting me all the way from Namibia to come and see Mexico. That was an opportunity for me to see Mexican as well. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.